This is the moment metal detectorist Jason Massey unearthed a hoard of treasure buried for millennia in a British field, including a sensational 24-carat ring unlike anything ever seen in the country before. Perhaps the actual seal of a Roman emperor. His story made headlines around the world, but it wasn't the truth. It's a tale of cursed gold, deception, treachery and betrayal that stretches over 2,000 years. And now, with exclusive interviews, along with videos and images never published before, I'm finally able to tell the real story of the discovery from the man who actually made it, only for others to try and take it from him.
That's a brooch.
It's a brooch. That is fucking high.
That's going in a museum.
Slow down.
Right.
Slow down. Yeah. Let's get some more shots. Let's get some more shots.
That's a free step on top.
You've got the rosette green shiny thing.
That was Mo's, that way.
I'm rich. No, we're rich.
Jason Massey's find in 2018 caused a media sensation, not just because of the incredible treasure itself, but because the group he founded and ran was a charity supporting armed forces veterans. It seemed the ultimate feel-good story, a man dedicated to helping others being richly rewarded for his efforts. Because Massey's instant reaction to the find wasn't wrong. If the UK courts ruled the hoard to be treasure, he would be rich. But the truth is very different, and it starts with this man, Kevin Minto.
Ever since I was a little kid, we used to play knights and what have you, and I've always liked the Romans, the way they dressed, and gladiators, the fights and what have you, chariots. It's a fascinating subject.
And that fascination with history never left him. Many years later, inspired by local discoveries of Roman coin hoards, Kev bought his first metal detector when he left the army.
After I got out of the army, I had a bad do, ended up in hospital. I had COPD and a serious asthma attack. And the doctor said, go for long walks, keep yourself fit, keep your lungs going. So I took up metal detecting, and I found that really helped. Not only does it take your mind off stuff that's going around in your head, but yeah, it keeps me fit.
Perhaps because the UK has so much history, there are thousands of detectorists eager to dig it up, with hundreds of clubs and social media groups sharing news and organising digs, dreaming of finding gold and precious stones. But at first, Kev had little luck.
I did join a few clubs. I was like in and out. I weren't finding much, and I was sort of disappointed in the clubs really, because it seemed to me that you were going over the same fields that had been done over and over again.
Then, in 2016, Kev stumbled across a new group, Detecting for Veterans, run by Jason Massey.
I'm a veteran myself, so I thought, sounds interesting. I'll put my name down for that.
Massey seemed dedicated, a fellow veteran who Kev could trust. The first couple of digs with the group turned up some nice finds, but no one was prepared for what happened on the third dig, when Kev decided to explore a field that no one else was investigating.
Walked through the gate into the third field, bang, a button. I thought, well, better than nothing. Got another few feet, another signal, piece of lead. Better than the other two fields. Got about another 10 yards, got another signal, a Roman coin. Ooh, even better. Put my detector to the left, got another signal. Thought, blimey, another Roman coin. Went to the right, another Roman coin. Went above, another Roman coin. Thought, friggin' hell, I've got a hoard here.
Kev phoned Phil, one of the group admins, to come and help him. By the end of the day, the pair had uncovered over 200 Roman coins and the two halves of a Roman silver ring. There was no doubt about it. Kev had stumbled across a treasure hoard, but Jason Massey's behaviour quickly made him suspicious.
And I went onto the Protecting for Veterans group page, and I was reading the comments on the day's events, and I see a photo of Jason Massey, the event organiser, and Philip Costello on the Hoard field, but not me. And I'm like, what's going on here? And I go through the comments, and some of the comments were like, well, Jason Massey, you don't look anything like Kevin Minto. And I'm thinking, what the friggin' hell's this guy up to? So, naturally, I'm curious, and my brain's telling me, you've got to watch this one, because that's not normal business. You don't block out the hoard finder and put yourself on there. Whether he thought it was his group, his permission, it was his hoard, well, no, it's my hoard, not your hoard. And I said to myself, this is one to watch.
English law is very clear when a hoard of treasure is found. The ownership is shared between the person who makes the first discovery and the owner of the land it's found on. Even if other people then dig up further treasure from the same hoard, it still belongs to the person who first discovered it. And that person was Kev. Metal detectorists have had a bad reputation with archaeologists for plundering sites, so Kev made sure that things were done properly, in conjunction with the local museum. As the law demands, he registered the hoard with the local Finds Liaison Officer, or FLO for short, who scheduled a visit to the site with 2 local archaeologists.
I specifically asked Jason Massey for Philip Costello to come, as I'd met Phil previously on the day I found the hoard. He seemed a genuine guy and somebody I could trust, as at the moment I wasn't 100% behind Jason Massey. I wasn't feeling confident, I should say, with him. And a week later we went back on the hoard site.
Over 2 more exploratory digs, Kev, Phil and the archaeologists found over 300 coins in total. Rings, brooches and a high-status burial, a coffin thought to belong to a high-status Roman woman. Kev knew there was much more to find, but already the coins dated the hoard to one of the most mysterious periods of British history. For nearly 300 years, the province of Britannia had flourished under Roman rule, but by the end of the 3rd century AD, the empire's grip was weakening. Rome was in decline, there was unrest within and constant attacks from barbarians along her borders. In 286, the Emperor Maximian appointed a naval officer named Marcus Aurelius Mausius Carausius to deal with some of these attackers, from pirates who were raiding the waters off Britain and Gaul. Carausius turned out to be very good at the job, so good that he turned pirate himself, keeping the loot that he seized and building up a fabled treasure. Not surprisingly, Maximian wasn't impressed and sentenced Carausius to death. But Carausius was a smart pirate and took advantage of growing opposition to Roman rule to set himself up as Emperor of Britain and Northern Gaul, where he quickly gained the support of the army and local people. After building fortifications that still dot the English coast 1900 years later, he managed to fight off at least one attempt from Rome to depose him. And so the Emperor Caesar Marcus Aurelius Mausius Carausius Augustus, as he styled himself, became the first ruler of all England, until being assassinated by his own finance minister Electus in 293 AD. Perhaps, say some, Electus was motivated by greed, eager to get his hands on the treasure that Carausius had built up, and that arguably formed the first ever crown jewels of Britain. Just 3 years later, though, Rome finally regained its lost province, and Electus himself was killed in the battle that ended Britain's brief independence. The treasure, if it still existed, was nowhere to be found, rumoured to have been buried somewhere near the south coast. For many years, the story of Carausius was thought to be a myth, an early version of King Arthur or Robin Hood, until coins bearing his head and that of Electus began to be found in the south and southwest of England. Now, Kev, Phil and the archaeologists had found more coins from both rebel emperors. It was already clear to them all that there was much more waiting to be found in the Hoard field. So could Kev have stumbled across the hiding place of the treasure of Carausius? What happened next made it much more likely, but would shatter friendships and lives, as the curse of the treasure that had killed both Carausius and Electus struck again. Despite Kev's misgivings, Jason Massey organised another dig for the Detecting for Veterans group at the site of the find.
I spoke to Jason Massey prior to his briefing, and he said he'd cordoned the Hoard field off. So when he finished his briefing and I went up to the Hoard field, I found he'd just cordoned the coffin off, and the actual hoard was out in the field for anybody to go trampling over and detecting. I immediately started to put the stakes out further to where I thought they should be. And I also found the detectorists on the Hoard site, which I asked to leave, which I later found out that Jason Massey had invited him when he didn't consult me. It's not his hoard, it's my hoard. Why is he inviting people onto my hoard?
As the dig progressed, Massey's behaviour becomes even more suspicious.
Coins are coming up and they're going in the tub, and Jason Massey disappears with the tub. And I said to Phil, what's he up to? So I'm watching him, and he goes on his phone and he starts taking photos. So I go on the group webpage, and that's when I see he puts a post on there that he had found the Hoard hotspot with the Equinox 800, and he's found nothing. No, he had no signal, nothing, not even his hole, really. I'm like, to Phil, he's playing games. Gonna have to watch him.
Then came the moment that would change all of their lives.
Jason Massey comes back. I said to him, we've cleared the top end of that hole, there's nothing. I said, the coins are out. I said, there's one signal there. And he started to dig it, and then we could see gold. And he starts screaming like a little banshee, like a little girl, like, what's going on here? Out comes the ring, and he starts shouting, I'm rich, I'm rich. And he runs off with the ring, telling everybody that he's found the ring. He's found nothing. Didn't even have a signal on his detector. Didn't even have his detector switched on properly.
The ring was like nothing else found in the British Isles. An incredible object that could only have belonged to someone at the very, very top of Roman society, a senior military leader, senator, or perhaps even an emperor. Given the date of the coins that Kev had already unearthed, could this be the ring of Carausius himself, or perhaps Electus, the man who'd killed him to seize the throne and the treasure Carausius had amassed? If so, it was very possible that more of the treasure lay in the field. As a dispersed hoard scattered across the field, everyone involved in the discovery understood that the find belonged to Kev, or at least everyone except Jason Massey.
But by that time he'd been on Facebook and he'd told all his 5,000 members that he'd found a gold ring, and people were congratulating him, and it just snowballed and snowballed. And Phil went home, he'd had enough. I didn't stay around much longer either.
Kev and Phil tried their best to resolve the situation.
So I phoned Massey and I said, look, we got to come down and discuss this, myself and Phil. So we arranged a day to meet Mr. Massey. Where's the coins? Because on that day we had 30 coins to hand in as part of the hoard, which was handed in as an addendum to the hoard, which is extra, means extra in Roman. And I said, where's the ring? And he brought the ring out. And I stood at his door and I said to him, you've got to do the right thing. I said, don't get yourself into trouble.
Massey ignored the advice.
Wife phones me. She said, have you seen the papers? I said, no, why? She said, Massey's in the papers with the ring. I said, you're joking? No. Oh. Great. Gets on. Gets a call from Phil. I said, I've seen the papers, mate. He says, look on Facebook. And there he is, stood in front of cameras, announcing, it's his hoard, his ring. I'm like, what an idiot.
On the Detecting for Veterans Facebook site, Massey was doubling down, stabbing both Phil and Kev in the back. So I have placed the ring as my find. This is due to some legal advice I have been given and to protect the land. At Philip, you had a signal which you asked me to check with my Equinox, which I did. I said to you, I would dig this, mate, and you said carry on, as witnessed by another person on the Hoard site. This means that you gave up your chance of digging up the signal. None of this was true.
Here we are, my hoard, Phil's signal, our hole, and he's claiming the ring for himself. Not only claiming the ring for himself, but telling everybody that he's found the hoard hotspot, which the hoard hotspot hasn't been found yet. They're just clumps of coins scattered around the field.
And things got nastier still, with Massey threatening legal action. This is such a shame, Jason. I honestly, this week have been defending you and saying to my family that you will do the right thing. It seems I was wrong. From the first minute when you got hold of the ring, you have lied. You have lied to your family, friends, detecting group, and in fact anyone else who has read your stories or listened to your interviews. If any post appear on social media or in any interviews with magazines or any other media outlets about myself, the group, and even yourselves about the Hoard site, which is in a negative effect on the named person, this can be classed as libel. Please do not threaten me with libel, as in the last 8 days, all I have done is fend off comments as I didn't want to believe you would do this to us. If it goes to court, then more questions will be asked, and I fully understand the consequences if I do not tell the truth. I hope you realise this too. At this point, both Kev and Phil were removed from the group. With no other option, Kev reported the matter to the police and British Museum.
People don't do that. Event organisers don't do that. Charity event organisers don't do that. It's unheard of. It's unbelievable. I didn't know what to do. It was my first hoard. I'd never seen a hoard before in my life. I knew the difference between a hoard and a scattered hoard, so I knew the ring, which is a very important ring. It's unique to Britain. He ain't gonna have it. And that night at home I phoned Phil, and me and Phil had a chat about it. And we decided to stay off of Facebook, and we'll gather the evidence against Mr. Massey, and we'll present that evidence to the coroner.
With competing claims, it was now up to the coroner's court to decide who really owned the treasure. But according to Kev, some of the objects found with the ring hadn't been declared to the fines liaison officer.
Postman turns up with mail. I open the mail and there's a receipt in there for the 31 coins from the flow officer. And I'm looking at the coins on the photocopy, like everything's there, the ring's not there. There's a silver coin missing, there's a uncut green emerald missing. So I phoned the flow officer up, and I told her that there was stuff missing, and I told her that I couldn't trust Jason Massey, and she turned around and said, It's his permission. I said, I don't care whose permission it is. I said, it's my hoard. It's not his hoard. There's stuff missing. We're going to sort him out. I can't trust Jason Massey. I don't want him on my hoard site. And with that, the hoard site was closed down until after the inquest.
As the long wait for the verdict began, incredibly, the story was about to get even stranger. Though Kev had been thrown out of the Detecting for Veterans group, he began hearing rumours that Massey had problems.
He put on a dig, charged a lot of money, and then he didn't get the numbers he wanted, and he decided to cancel the dig till the following year. And apparently a couple of members asked for their money back, and they never got it, which snowballed because other members started to ask for their money back, and they never got it. And then it snowballed again, and more members are asking for the money back, and none of them are getting it. And then it comes out he's in hospital. He's had a serious stroke. He's blind, and he can't access the bank account to give the money back.
Posts from the time support Kev's account. Massey had charged members £65 for a dig that didn't happen. Then further investigations revealed that while Detecting for Veterans did raise money for charities, a lot of the money was going straight into Massey's own pocket. Many of those who'd supported him in the fight against Kev and Phil now began to doubt him. But with the man now seriously ill, it seemed unlikely anyone would get their money back. At first, even Kev felt sympathy.
He's got a family, he's got kids. I genuinely feel sorry for the bloke, because I wouldn't wish that on my enemy.
What we decided to do, I mean, this is 9 days before a big event with, there were 350 people coming. Everybody had paid the money already. It was about 65 quid a head. So you can do the maths yourself on what sort of money he'd taken on that. So we, as an admin team, decided that we had to get the dig off the ground, if you like. We couldn't let everybody down. So what we did, we formed another admin group without the masses in it, and we put it out there that the dig could still go ahead, but people had to pay because we had outgoings, toilets, the farmer. So basically we put it on for a cut price, and everybody who was on the original dig attended the dig and had a great time. We had a great time. So that happened 9 days before we put the dig on. But what we found out during that 9 days was he hadn't actually arranged anything. He hadn't booked the toilets. He had absolutely done nothing. So yeah, we had all that to sort out. So anyway, we got it going. But in the meantime, we were getting updates from Sarah, his wife, that is in a bad way, and they don't know what the outcome is going to be. So we just carried on. We kept asking her questions, and basically she kept feeding us the lies, or what turned out to be lies.
And then there's a massive thing on Facebook. He's not in hospital. He's sat at home. There's nothing wrong with him. He's been caught on camera putting the bins out, and it's all a total lie.
During the dig, somebody approached us, the three of us, while we were stood together, myself, Steve Murphy and Jay Price, and suggested that they'd actually seen Massey on the beach a few days before. We took that away. We let the informant, if you like, carry on with what he was doing. But we took it away and said, look, we can't ignore this. Somebody's come to us with this information. What we're going to do about it? So we came to a joint decision, the three of us, that would hire a private investigator and put him in place on Massey's house. So yeah, it didn't take long to get the evidence.
Unbelievably, Private detectives found that Massey had faked illness to try and escape the scandal that was engulfing him, and Facebook exploded with anger.
You know, people actually paused and looked at the evidence, and then it was just disbelief. A lot of people were out for his neck, should we say, out for blood. So we were trying to appease people and just saying, we're going to report it to the police and let the law take its course.
For Kev, though, it was total vindication.
To be honest, I feel elated. I feel like there's a big weight off my shoulders, because now the truth's coming out. It's what I've said for a long time. It's what people have said for a long time. It's what people have been kicked off his group for saying for a long time. The man is a liar. End of.
It took 5 years for the coroner to rule on the competing claims, with no more detecting able to be done at the site of the hoard. During that time, the Detecting for Veterans charity was closed down. It's still uncertain what happened to the money the charity accrued, or the whereabouts of the other items believed to have been excavated by a colleague of Massey's on the day that the ring was found. Items that were effectively stolen from Kev, the owner of the hoard. Eventually, in 2023, Kevin Minto was found to be the rightful owner of the hoard and the ring, and was told officially that he could open the hoard site once more in search of more treasure. The same day, Kev and Phil had a meeting with the landowner, who agreed that the dig should continue. Kev's in no doubt that there is much more to find.
There's something going on with this site. To get a rare coin hoard like that and a ring like that, there's definitely something going on. And we're not going to find it unless we go back on there with the right equipment. And we're just waiting now.
For Kev, the process made him feel as if the cursed history of Carausius and Electus was repeating itself.
So in the Roman times, everybody's stabbing everybody in the back and taking over their empires and stealing all their land and fortunes and wives and daughters and whatever. And that's exactly how I felt. I felt that it had come full circle, and Massey had stabbed me in the back and tried to steal the ring and claim it for himself. And I wasn't having any of it. I was going to stand by my guns.
The whole experience had drained him physically and mentally, but he and Phil have managed to achieve what they wanted all along, to safeguard what could be part of the first ever crown jewels of England, for the people of England, hopefully to go on display in the British Museum. Within a few weeks, the hunt should begin again. Only time will tell what other secrets are hidden beneath the surface, but after all this happened, Kev is in no doubt about the reality of the curse.
Well, it's the Romans all over, isn't it? I'm just waiting for somebody to stab me in the back.